Hello and welcome to Sketch in Review. I'm really glad that your finger point is going to be kept in now, Connor.
Don't worry, this part's going to be kept in, and it won't make sense in the audio version. We're doing an excellent job.
As you know, anyone who listens to this show knows this is Sketch in Review, a SNL review sketch show coming to you a week where there is no SNL. As long as you don't count the Rocco episode that happened last night. That's a solid reference for people who watch SNL. But for everyone who doesn't...
Couldn't be me.
It couldn't be us. You may notice that we have a third person with us. I would like to introduce you to Jamie. Jamie is the host of a podcast called Robots into Guys, a queer reading of the Transformers series. Jamie, you want to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Hi, I'm Jamie. My pronouns are they, them. I am Connor's roommate.
And that with such disgust.
Well, I'm only saying that with disgust because I know the way you cook.
Devastating. Fuck.
How many times have you tried to make a bolognese now?
It is an exceptional bolognese. It is excellent.
That's not a proper bolognese.
Yes, just because I don't use ground beef and instead elect to use sausage because I think it's cooler does not mean that it is not a proper
sausage.
bolognese.
Listen. A sausage bolognese isn't the worst thing in the world.
He's Italian. He gets to say it.
Well, I'm a big oxtail bolognese guy.
Ooh.
Oh, it's very good. Very, very good.
All right.
Like we said, this isn't an episode reviewing any episode of SNL. Instead, we are doing a Bowen Yang retrospective with prominent Bowen Yang expert Jamie.
Yes, as a gay Asian, I can safely say that I have a degree in Yangology. No, I've been aware of Bowen since when he was just like podcasting through the Forever Dog Network, so through Las Culturistas. So when I found out that he was going to be on SNL, like I actually was like, oh, this is someone I actually have prior knowledge, and whose stuff I actually do like.
Mm-hmm. And so this episode will be a little bit different. How it's going to work is we're going to watch some sketches. We're going to watch a sketch, and then we will respond to it in the video, and then the video is going to cut to our next response for the next sketch, and I will give a little breakdown of each sketch before we get to reacting to it for everyone. We're about to get cut to a new scene, so see you on the next portion. And we're back.
Oh, what a sketch.
So first up, we decided to hit Bowen Yang's first, I think it's really his first main character for update, Chen Biao, trade czar of China. And this was...
Trade daddy.
Yeah, trade daddy, as he's affectionately called.
By himself.
Listen, I call him Trade Daddy too. Because he showed up a couple episodes ago, and I dropped I love Trade Daddy.
Yeah.
Go back to the tape if you don't believe me, and if I'm wrong, email us at billyhatemail@gmail.com. That is a real email address. Please email us. Nobody emails us.
Calls anymore.
Yeah, listen, I think Chen Biao is really great. It came on right when Bowen had been announced as a featured performer right in the summer leading up to this episode in October. And he was a writer on SNL the year before, finally moved to on-screen talent. And this is really, I think, the first time that the audience got to really see Bowen Yang perform as just the spotlight. And he knocks it out of the fucking park.
It's really a star arrival moment, and it gives credence to because I read the Live from New York book, and Chris Rock was told by Eddie Murphy that Chris Rock was worried about not being on the show enough as a featured player, and Eddie was like, hey, you got to write update pieces. That's the way that these, if you're a young gun, that's the way that you're going to get on the program. And so it seems like Bowen took that to heart and just and you can see as he's been on the show, his bread and butter has been these update correspondent pieces, and I guess we'll see later they get even more kind of outre and an avant-garde, and the sillier the costume, the better. But starting from this, just the way that every gesticulation, the full body rolls, even in the chair, the wildness of the facial expressions. It's somebody who's really happy to be there and feels that in the pocket.
Yeah, I remember watching this live and being like, "Oh, so that's what Bowen can do." Can't wait for it to come. Can't wait for him to show up even more.
Yeah. A lot of these first featured segments that a new person will do are very hit or miss. Sometimes they haven't found themselves. Sometimes they don't know what sometimes they just don't do a good bit. But this one's just solidly. He knows exactly what this is, a kind of character that I'm really good at. Here it is, enjoy it, and it's really good.
Mm-hmm. It speaks to, I think, his history as a writer, because it's just joke after joke after joke, and it's not really concerned with any finer points of a characterization, a Heidi Garner bit or something like that. It's really it's all in the text.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this falls more akin to Guy Who Just Bought a Boat as opposed to Angela, every boxer's wife.
Right.
In which, Guy Who Just Bought a Boat is all fucking all right, I'm just gonna keep talking, and everything layers on top of each other, and the entire aspect of it is perfect. Meanwhile, Angela hits more of a, this is just fucking ridiculous, and hits all the tropes of a certain character. Also, it's always fun to see SNL lampoon foreign dignitaries. Just in general, I have fun whenever they hit international politics as well as local politics.
Yeah.
And it gives a good it gives a good access point, and it still kind of shows that SNL, even if they do get a lot of flack for being kind of socially out of touch, or at least fairly on a surface level, aware of political matters, even if their take is sometimes kind of abysmal.
Listen. They are very much the most moderate comedy possible.
Yes, just square in the center, and then oops, no, they dug a little bit to the right. No, they gotta repark that car.
Yeah. So next up, we are going to be doing what I think is probably Bowen's first. That's the first update segment that I noticed Bowen in. And I think we're going to move to probably what I think is the first sketch that I noticed Bowen in, which is the Sara Lee sketch. So tune in for you, 5 seconds, for us 8 minutes.
Oh.
I really hope that the laughing joke doesn't get overused, but since we're an SNL review podcast, we might as well do it every time.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that your viewers know that you live, laugh, and love, but especially laugh.
Yeah. So we just finished up the Sara Lee sketch, and this for those who haven't seen it, pause the video, go watch it. That's the fun part about pre-recorded.
Ideally, you can pause it at the point where we right where we're about to jump from one to the other, because I don't know if we're going to have a transition between the two. That'd be perfect, because then you won't notice the jump.
Yeah, the jump won't be as hard if you... Alright, so the Sara Lee sketch, pretty much, it's Harry Styles hosting an episode of SNL in November of 2019. And the sketch is that he is a brand. He runs the Instagram account for Sara Lee Bread. Sara Lee does a bunch of generic cakes and breads and such. And he's just posting. He's being horny on main, basically. Except instead of his main Instagram, his main is Sara Lee's corporate Instagram. Listen, I think there are a lot of choice quotes from this. Must get rid of toxic in community is such a call sign.
God damn. So fucking good. And it's good that they did a callback. It is this sketch outside of like, a Best of Bowen is just a really, really good sketch.
I watch it, I think, about every 6 months or so because the phrase "must get rid of toxic in community" just gets in my head, or I think about the way that Cecily Strong says "some random fashion twink."
I can't fucking get over the just plate of plain white bread on the table. Someone's gonna pick up a piece
There is so much fucking good in this sketch.
Yes. Absolutely. And it's such a shame that it's part of some weird vertical brand integration strategy that NBC is doing.
Yeah, listen. Here's the thing. Bowen wrote this sketch I'm not sure, a year or so before it ever got to SNL, because there is a cut for time version of this same exact sketch, basically. But cool. Listen, I think Harry Styles was definitely the better choice than whichever host it got cut for time with, because he's able to embody the role of young gay brand manager.
I think it's deeply funny because it seems to suggest that a man who looks like Harry Styles cannot pronounce the name of Shawn Mendes.
True, he does call him Shawn Mendes.
Shawn Mendes, again, a line I think about a lot.
It starts out strong with Cecily being like, me and Fernando or whatever.
Santino.
Oh yeah, Santino. Me and Santino. It's Jake. Okay.
He's indignant about it.
Yeah.
It's Jake.
Hey.
I'm sorry. And then she's also angry about it. It's a throwaway line.
It feels like it might have just been and I know I make up stories like this, but it makes it feel more fun to me. It feels like the kind of line that was made up, that was thrown in during rehearsal as a bit, and then they kept it because they liked it so much.
I wonder if the aggression of the line read is something that feels more spontaneous.
It definitely,
because
it was definitely written. It was definitely written out as, because it can also be funny if it's read such as, me and Santino, it's Jake, I'm sorry, me and him, as opposed to pure anger.
And somebody fucking Mikey Day's wife rather than
or Mikey Day complaining about someone fucking his wife as opposed to
right.
We gotta. Our next compilation episode should be compilations of people fucking his wife.
Mikey Day all cuck scenes.
Let's rank all Mikey Day cuck scenes.
A super cuck, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I think this one really shows where Bowen Yang's sensibilities lie as a writer as well, because it's very much aimed directly at the queer community.
Absolutely, and him and Julio Torres, I think, co-wrote this one together, and that is Julio as the random fashion twink. And apparently, when Cecily says the word "some random fashion twink," the isolated deep laugh you can hear is apparently Julio. Laughing from the side of the stage.
That's so good.
Oh, that's so fun. I think it's also just a really good mix of because Harry Styles is a very good host for SNL. And I think Bowen and Cecily have such a strong connection because Cecily is one of the queen of the gays.
Yeah, Cecily is a musical theater girl, so
exactly.
Yeah, and they play on that a lot, and also Harry as a star persona has a record for kind of for playing with gender expectation and everything like that. Again, it's such a shame that this beacon of queer creativity has to come out of a brand integration.
But also, isn't that progress? Isn't it progress that a brand integration sketch can just target the queer community.
Oh, it's so great that the queers are participating in capitalism now. Like, yes, slay your way right into my Amazon cart.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. It's good. But I did happen to look at the Sara Lee Instagram account a few months after this sketch aired, and of course it surprised me to no end that people were in fact commenting on Sara Lee content with Wreck Me Daddy and Destroy Me King and Let's Get Rid of Toxic in Community. So the brand integration worked.
Listen, more people are interacting with the Sara Lee brand, so I guess mission accomplished.
Oh, I love the line. People love bread content. I misheard it for a while. I thought it was people love brand content. But then, like, after rewatching the sketch, like, the 8th time, I was like, oh, he's saying people love bread content.
I think,
very good.
And I think one line that we haven't touched on yet, and I think we're going to move on, is just when it's just the string of emojis, and Cecily asks him that's in reference to getting railed to death.
He says, getting railed to death, yeah. As if that was the assumption already.
Listen, to be fair, when I first saw the sketch, I had, there was, 1 or 2 lines, there was, 1 or 2 words in that statement where I was like, okay, slightly different. I thought it was run a train on me until death. Because there's, 3 eggplants and then a train.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Next up, we will be doing another sketch. It will be the airport sushi sketch. So if you want to sit down and watch that while we pause the recording and watch it ourselves, now would be the time. Ha!
With rats, man!
So we just finished up watching Airport Sushi. Bowen Yang has his own featured little portion of it, right in the middle. So we'll mainly talk about that. But can I just say, I love this sketch. Just I think I sing parts of this sketch almost every day. I'm not even kidding. I've straight up been in the shower and just been like, profiled Asian.
I think this was my first time seeing this one. I don't know. I think it was. I wasn't sure when I was watching it, but I don't remember a lot of it. At the very beginning, I was like, oh god, this is an 8-minute musical sketch. I'm not. But as it went on, and you just all of these characters started interacting with each other and getting their own. It's Cats, but in an airport.
I mean, it lacks the clarity of Diner Lobster, which has one core conceit and then spirals, appropriately. This sort of just goes down a bunch of different avenues. Cats is probably the more appropriate comparison because everyone just sort of introduces themselves and then does.
Yeah, it's a lot of of John Mulaney's 4 big New York musical numbers sketches. I think Airport Sushi is my favorite just because it hits on so many different musicals. As opposed to Diner Lobster, it's only Les Mis stuff. Which
it's only Les Mis, yeah.
Which listen, it's great and fun, but I feel like the 3rd time's the charm. So it doesn't ever overstay its welcome. Where it's we get it. Ordering lobster at a fucking diner is weird. We don't need 8 minutes of it.
Right.
This one we can get 8 minutes of it because we hit. Well, why are you buying sushi at an airport? All right, well, listen, this is LaGuardia. As somebody who's been to LaGuardia a bunch, absolutely accurate. Every part of it.
Well, I think another thing is that it's good that it left the diner sushi or the airport sushi because when I was getting bored, it was because there were 2-3 songs about the airport sushi. But then once it became about the airport and the airport progressively became this more magical place full of stupid inadequacies and stuff like that, that's when the sketch really took off. And when John Mulaney has a way of saying horrible things like they're magical. That's always a good punchline when he talks about it's the baggage attendant that's worked here for 30 years and throws everyone's bag straight into Long Island Sound. Like, amazing.
Mulaney is a really good anchor for this sort of thing, especially because a lot of the people from his Sack Lunch Bunch special, like Jake Gyllenhaal and David Byrne, he kind of got them to bring out that same silliness that they exhibited in Sack Lunch Bunch, which gives everything like this overall feeling of like of lightness. Which is kind of interesting, given that the circumstances were kind of consequence.
Yeah. Listen. Hindsight 2020, this falls into like the Chris Red on Weekend Update saying black people can't get the coronavirus levels of like, maybe we shouldn't have said that. But still, it's so funny because it's in this microcosm. It's in this very small window of time in which everyone knows about the coronavirus, but nobody knows anything about the coronavirus.
Yes. It is so interesting, though, that like that Bowen's profiled Asian piece like comes, like mere minutes after the Wuhan steak joke. Again.
Steak? I thought they said snake.
They did say snake.
They say snake?
Yeah, listen. It's because so at the time, people were unsure if all they knew is it came from an exotic meat market. They didn't know if it was a bat or a snake. And snake was a better rhyme.
I thought it was a lab under Quantico.
Well, I mean, listen. Could it have been the Wuhan Coronavirus Research Lab? Maybe.
No way to know.
As Jon Stewart once said, it's the name of the lab. But yeah, and it's also very interesting in which, it really does it touches on the profiled Asian bit, which, Bowen gets a full Asian hate crime update segment eventually, which I don't think any of us picked as like a best of Bowen. Just because it's sad. I don't like being sad.
No, it's sad, and it felt more obligatory.
Yeah.
And than anything really, like with a degree of like affirmed passion to it. It seemed like we have to touch on it because our show makes itself relevant by being of the moment. Circumstances happen to line up. Do you know what song Bowen's section is parodying?
So I can go. So the parody.
Suddenly Seymour.
Yes,
Suddenly Seymour.
It is Suddenly Seymour.
Oh.
From Little Shop of Horrors.
I didn't get that until you said sudden, which was the beginning of the thing.
Yeah. So to go through it, we have the Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
We get America from West Side Story.
Yes.
Then we get it's from Annie, but I don't know.
There's Tomorrow.
Yeah. It is Tomorrow. Yeah.
Then there's Stay Cool, right?
Stay Cool from West Side Story.
Yeah.
Security is Defying Gravity from Wicked.
From Wicked, yeah.
Then it's Bowen's portion, which is Suddenly Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay, now that one's because every other one had like a sound match, from the title. Phantom of LaGuardia, LaGuardia as like America, De Blasio for Tomorrow. But then you have profiled Asian and Suddenly Seymour.
Yeah, it doesn't match up perfectly, but it is. Yeah. And then Road to Nowhere by the Talking Heads. Nowhere, yeah.
And that's not a musical theater song, unless you count American Utopia as its own as its own Broadway production, but it originates as a Talking Heads track.
Yep, yeah. And the Talking Heads were the guest artist for that.
David Byrne was, and he brought a lot of the people from his American Utopia crew. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know enough David Byrne lore to have the facts.
Oh yeah, no, Talking Heads haven't been a band since like 1987. Yeah, David Byrne does a lot of solo stuff, and the American Utopia thing. Well, because he claimed songwriting credit for all of the music that Talking Heads made, and so he created a show based around those songs. And I haven't seen the American Utopia concert film that Spike Lee did, but apparently the show was this sort of performance art and also like career retrospective for Byrne himself.
Oh,
and,
that sounds fun for him.
Yeah, listen.
I'm not gonna go see it, but it sounds fun for people who like that kind of thing.
Oh, like it's like for people like my mother, like I'm sure that because I feel like Talking Heads is like mom rock, Talking Heads, The Police.
I only know the one song that was on Rock Band.
Da do 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 da 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 da.
Psycho Killer.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't mean The Police. Never mind.
Oh no.
Fuck The Police.
Because I will say my favorite Police song is da do 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 da da da.
Because it's got doo-doo in it.
Yeah, listen, I'm a simple man.
Listen, it works. It works. All right. That was that.
Yeah, so next up, we will be hitting another weekend update segment. This one will be the Iceberg. So I will let you, so go ahead, see the SNL Iceberg update, and then come back afterwards. We'll see you then. Haha. Indubitably.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the Iceberg sketch. Quality sketch. This is another one. I forget exactly when it came out, but it was also relatively early in Bowen's SNL on-screen tenure. And it was another one where I was like, oh, shit, this man's gonna be a star. It's just so good to it. So much good to it. Where whether it's Bowen just consistently downplaying the number of people who died in the Titanic by orders of magnitude. Like 30, 40 people died. 1,500.
Why are you attacking me? There's just so many great winners in this sketch in terms of lines. He jumps around from one idea to the next. Like, I thought there was one specific like series of jokes in it that I felt like verbatim another sketch that I'd seen on a different show, and I was going to be ready to be upset about that, but then they moved on to the 3 or 4 completely other things that were their own thing, and it was a fucking roller coaster. It was.
What was the point of comparison that you were?
Oh, there's a sketch on that Mitchell and Webb look in which an interviewer is going to interview Buzz Aldrin and says, "Well, he wants to talk about his album. He wants to talk about his new." And it was exactly that.
Oh, okay.
They were saying like he doesn't want to be known for his old stuff. Like, well, people want to talk to him because of, but yeah, there's. I'm not even saying that they just took it, even though there are some things that SNL just fucking takes.
Yeah.
It's an easy joke to make.
Yeah. But the sort of writerly detail. It's a hyperpop EDM new disco fantasia. Yep. Called Music.
Bold.
God, that feels like a fucking Stefan line if ever there was one.
It's definitely like.
What do you mean? It didn't. What do you mean, Connor? That line didn't make fun of midgets, so obviously it can't be. It can't be a Stefan line.
And then when Colin challenges it, he practically breaks.
That's right.
Oh, music.
Oh my god.
I think my favorite. I think one of the parts that really threw me when I started was when Colin asks what went through your mind, every instinct in my body was like, he's gonna say the ship, he's gonna say the ship, he's gonna say the ship. And then he fucking swerves it instead. Instead, he gets his entire ass cut off by the ship.
Yeah. The line that I always like, it's always like the first line of the sketch that really makes me laugh, which is the where that's just a part of me, but there is so much more underneath. And then Colin says like an iceberg, and then like again, like it's very similar to like the Santino and Jake line where he goes, yeah. I also think he's hurt that like he didn't get it early.
I love about that specific line how he's like saying it like it's this beautiful poetic thing, even though it's just a very bog standard the only thing you know about iceberg. Yeah. And so Colin responds with, "You're like an iceberg, I get it." She rejects it. Oh, so good.
Also the song Loverboy.
Yo, Loverboy is a bop. Don't get me wrong.
It's a bop. Yeah. I believe him when he says no skips on the record.
I don't believe him when he says no skips on the record. I'm certain there's a loser in there. But Loverboy's not one of them.
12 tracks, no skips. Swear to God.
Listen, 12 tracks. Pretty short. Could be no skips.
It could be no skips. I'll believe it when I fucking see it.
I think
unless there's like a really long track at the end, like because sometimes with EDM, like you get these really long like tracks, and it's like, oh, it's like a club mix, and it's like, okay, well, first of all, like we're not at the club.
Yeah, first of all, no.
Yeah.
I think it really ties it together is when he fucking just like, fine, you want to talk about the Titanic? You want to talk about and he goes on this whole diatribe, and he's like, why isn't anyone blaming the water?
No one's trying to
White Star Line, you built a bad ship.
Again, like it's just like it's this knack for these like update pieces that are like quote ready. And you know, they just come, and it's so interesting like to see like early on the Chen Biao, you know, this character who like it doesn't take a whole lot of costuming and like it doesn't take a whole lot of like characterization because it's there in the writing, and then like getting to a point where like the comfort level is there to where you can do the iceberg, which is like this ridiculous like, you know, like costume piece, and then something that has even more of an involved like characterization to it. It's interesting to see, you know, the kind of his versatility as a performer, even if he is sort of working from the same kind of like comic mode, but like trying out different things like with it.
One of the most important parts of comedy is finding your voice. And Bowen is someone who found his voice by way before he got to SNL. He understood exactly where he's telling jokes from and how he has to say them. And every single time he nails it. You can see it in Chen Biao, you can see it in the Iceberg. You can see it. I'm going to drop Las Culturistas just because I know that we're not covering it because we just covered it a few weeks ago because it was just on Update. But, or not Las Culturistas. Fuck, that's his podcast, right?
Yeah, that's his podcast.
No, Future Trends. The trend forecasters.
Future Trend.
It's him and 80. They're dressed in these fucking, like, high fashion, fucking weird-ass dresses and just talking about trends. And then every time they get to a point where they're like, yeah, this trend is bad and going away, and just drop like a full fucking diatribe on it. Anyway, yeah, this is just...
Go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just... It's just... Bowen understands where he needs to come from and what he needs to say and how the audience is going to react to that in order to both hit the expectations that he needs to hit as well as subvert the ones that he wants to subvert.
Yeah. Hitting those expectations the way that the Titanic hit that iceberg over 100 years ago.
You gotta stop bringing...
And like a dozen people.
Listen, like 1 or 2 people died.
But like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think you should change your Twitter name to Irish Cacophony.
Alright. So next up we will be doing the Bowen and Simu Liu sketch. That's what it's called on SNL. You'll know it as the first Asian sketch. So tune into that and then come right back. We'll see you then. Haha.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Gonna get a lot of steam on that.
Yeah. All right. So this sketch happened earlier this season, with Simu Liu hosting. And me and Connor talked the world off of this sketch when we saw it the first time. 'Cause it's just so quality because it hits a topic that I don't know how to say it exactly, but it's just one of those where it's like every time that you mention that someone's the first blank to do blank, you're like, okay, well, I don't know. To me, it feels a little trivializing. I don't know if how it feels from a more minority perspective that you can provide.
Well, as the first gay Asian to appear on Sketch and Review, I can say that, I feel like a first is like good, but it has to. I feel like we have to get to a point where where the first gives way to to more than one. Like, for example, the reason why the full title of a HBO sketch show, a Black Lady sketch show, is because that title is there to represent in the hopes that there will be more. Firsts are great, but a first is always a first step. It's important, right? An integrated field is of course the ultimate goal. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Still, I feel like they take. Obviously, SNL does really good escalation in the sketch, in which they start at, very, very real, accurate titles of, first Asian Marvel lead, first fully Asian cast member. And then slowly but surely, they add a little bit more ridiculousness. I think my favorite of, the ridiculous part was first Asian man to beat StarCraft 2. A game historically conquered by the South Koreans.
My favorite will never not be Michigan's good job, open parentheses, Asian.
I have so much love and affection for Mr. Asian Panera.
I also, the progression of the sketch, it progresses in so many different ways, or rather maybe just two different ways, but no, and I think it plays to the point that you brought up about how you need to move away from the first and how the firsts can get silly at times, with this fact that it starts out with all these there's the escalation of the fact that the awards start very grounded and become very silly. And then there's also the fact that these characters start out actually not caring about it and then becoming obsessed with them as they get sillier. And it does a good job of that. Both of those mixed together does a good job of lampooning the fact that it's not unimportant that these things are firsts, but there is a level of performance to these things that's kind of just commodifying it and all of that. So it's addressing the fact that it is silly and important at the same time. I think they do a good job walking that line by the way that they do it, and the escalation is also very varied because there's multiple kinds of escalation and they all work together to fuel it. I think it's very good.
Yeah, and the fact that they play the validation of their efforts or non-efforts with gratitude. Yeah, I think is a large part of it, because you can feel that if there are people who haven't really been recognized for stuff in the past, that level of gratitude, they'll take it where they can get it, and it is and the fact that they are sort of playing versions of themselves, which means they can also play upon whatever like the needs of like of TV stars to be like showered with accolades as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we like to talk a lot about how SNL doesn't do punchlines well, but this one, you know, and I think it's a lot of these sketches that we picked do have punchlines right at the end.
Yes.
And this punchline is so great, where Bowen just leans in and goes, "I'll always be gay."
Yes.
And then it does this fucking, and I think I've made the same reference, but it does this end of The Shining
Zoom in on the same picture, the first Asian to deadpan, and then behind Simu the whole time was Bowen also deadpan, and then gay in bold double underline.
so perfect.
Ugh. I love that sketch a lot.
I know. Listen,
Very-
the sketch hits on a lot of very, very good portions. So we will hit our last weekend update segment that we have for Bowen next. It's going to be the Gay Oompa Loompa segment. So go ahead, pause the video, check it out, and then come back and we will hopefully be discussing it.
Hopefully.
I mean, listen, we will be, but like, hopefully you come back.
There's no way.
Yeah, there
Absolutely
is
true.
no way to know unless you come back. So we'll see you then. So we just finished up the Gay Oompa Loompa weekend update segment. This one does fall into the Bowen Yang gets dressed up in a costume weekend update segment, which is always great. I think it's really fun that Bowen just loves to put on face paint. Because he had face paint for Iceberg and he had face paint for this, which makes sense because the Oompa Loompas are a disgusting shade of orange in the movies.
Wow. Okay. Disgusting shade of orange.
Let me be clear.
Apologize to
Wow. Come for their fucking necks. why
Hey,
don't you?
hey, I'm from Jersey. I know all about disgusting shades of orange.
Jeez.
I think this one works so well just because. So it starts with Colin Jost dropping what small information you need to understand why we're doing this bit, which is Timothy Chalamet as a hot young Twonka. And listen, I love Chalamet so much. I don't know how this young Wonka's gonna do.
I hate how he spells his name.
Oh my god! Like there was like the script pages leaked for it back like a few months ago, and like it's the most, and that movie is apparently like the most like edgelord grim dark like kind of horse shit.
Oh, like
that
Bel
there
Air?
is. Yeah, like Bel Air. Yeah, they Riverdaled the boy.
Oh boy.
If you remind me, I can send you the screenshots of the script pages that were going around Twitter. But yeah, it's going to be.
I can't wait for Willy Wonka to kidnap the Oompa Loompas by gunpoint. That level of edge, or
that level of being in Loompa Land, and like a long like action sequence of being chased down by a monster with gnashing teeth, or the Oompa Loompa being chased by a monster with gnashing teeth, and then like a young Wonka coming to white savior them.
yeah, listen, these people, they didn't have a good life until this white man came.
And abducted the boy from their home.
And oh, what a burden he feels. There must be some sort of poem to illustrate this.
If only there was some sort of book about this jungle.
Oh. Yeah, so
If any child got named Rudyard in 2022, I think they'd be the subject of intense bullying, and I'm surprised that
which is wild because bullying doesn't exist in 2022 if people are to be believed. Anyway, back to the update segment. So Colin introduces Bowen on as a proud gay Oompa Loompa, which, surprise, surprise, outs him on national television.
It's just such an inspired angle to take for that character, because like it could just have been it does run the theme of a lot of Bowen characters, but this underlying like constantly interrupting himself to talk about, wow, okay, now I need to do this. It's Loompa Land. They're more conservative. Like all of these, it was such a good extra layer to add, and I think that's something with a lot of Bowen's stuff. There's always another layer. There's always something to make it more interesting, and I always like that.
Yeah, because if it was just Bowen comes out and he talks about how Willy Wonka's hot, that's fine. And even or even if he came out, he's like, yeah, he's hot, but he's still basically a slave driver. If he had like his whole point of
if he had done the labor conditions.
Yeah, if he did the labor conditions portion just straight without that portion, yeah, it would have been fine. But it wouldn't nearly. But I think I think it really does. The extra layer really helps like sell this whole thing home, because while he's trying to do it, he's also having to reel with this other fact.
Yeah, which is kind of why I feel like it sort of goes like a little off the rails when he starts talking about like all the other stuff about like how Wonka's more of an ideas guy. You know, it kind of the focus shifts pretty noticeably in a way that Iceberg doesn't really. Like Iceberg kind of like digs deep, and even if it finds the other avenue with like, you know, the whole like they drowned, you know, thing, it still kind of comes back to like what the Iceberg wants, which is to like clear their name. But the transitional point that Bowen uses, where it's like, you know, this allows me to like talk about everything. It feels like that pivots a little like kind of. It feels like a little too sharp of a pivot. I would have. You know, we still get great lines like, you know, rehearsing the song and dance we do when a child dies.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It doesn't. In the second half of this bit, you do lose the I just got outed on national television bit. It doesn't like all come together like a lot of stuff does sometimes.
Yeah,
which is sad, because it would be fun to see how it comes together, but it's still really, really good.
But also, he had to write this in less than a week.
I was telling Connor about it, because my college roommate was somebody who did want to write and perform comedy, and you know, we would talk a little briefly about SNL, and he always said that, like, you know, the two biggest problems with Saturday Night Live is that it's live, and it has to be ready by Saturday night.
Yeah, listen.
Everything else stems from those two core, like, you know, production obstacles.
Yeah, listen, SNL, much like regular improv, is when it's bad, it's gonna be the worst shit you've ever fucking seen. Oh my god. Listen, so on the show, we have an award dedicated for those types of sketches. It's not given every episode. It's called the Cake Sketch Award. I don't know if you've ever seen a cake sketch. Well, you've obviously seen a cake sketch, but you haven't seen like the cake sketch.
The cake sketch.
Would it be the one where the cake talks in
yes,
demon voice
yes.
in the Eddie Murphy episode?
No, the Eddie Murphy one is the only one I actually liked, because it was the first one I saw. They've done it 3 or 4 more times since then, and it's gotten worse.
Eddie did it so well, because I think he gets the 7-second delay, because he goes, "Come on, you little motherfucker, we can still win this."
I know. Yeah, exactly. It's just. But anyway, when it's bad, it's gonna be the worst shit you've ever seen. But when it's good, it's magical.
Yeah.
How someone can put it's in improv, how someone can just think this up on the spot, and in SNL, how they can get this all put together in a week, and somehow they've put together a functional 90-minute show that goes on at 11:30 at night that millions of people tune into.
Magic.
And then you get average sketches most of the time.
Yeah, no, I think like that larger thing is like, sometimes you'll get like a memorably abysmal sketch, but I think like most disappointingly is that the show like can be content with being mediocre for long stretches.
Yep.
Listen, SNL is the WWE of sketch comedy.
Wow.
Listen, I'm a big wrestling guy, so I've seen the parallels perfectly. Yeah. They're both run by a crazy billionaire.
Yep.
Who has final say on everything. They each put on a product that has to get turned around in a week. The only difference is that the people on SNL can talk better.
And some of the most famous people from the franchise are dead.
Yeah, that too.
Or making movies now.
Yes, true.
Yeah, listen, see, a lot of parallels. So, next up, we will be going with the Scarlett Johansson USO performance sketch next. So, go ahead, check it out, come right back. Quick note for anyone who didn't pause it in time. It's actually Kristen Wiig and not Scarlett Johansson. I don't know, she was blonde, and so I just assumed.
She was blonde. She probably has a low opinion of Colin Jost.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so this USO performance. This is just showing. This has to be Bowen's second year. It's right. It's in 2020.
I don't know.
Well,
no, I can tell you that it's either in 2020. Yeah. It's in season 46. Is this one?
Okay, so it's his second year on the show.
It's his second year as a featured performer. And this is just another showcase of Bowen Yang just being able to go into something and give it his entire all, and just fucking kill it. Never.
Yep.
He doesn't miss. If he gives his all to something, he doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss.
It seems like he really relishes the opportunity to sing, as we've seen throughout this, and he finds like, again, there's even from that first Chen Biao segment, there's just a confidence that he exudes, where he I definitely agree with Billy, where it's like Bowen came into SNL like knowing like how he was funny, and then like being able to like flex that in a bunch of different ways, to the point where it can even distract you from the fact that this is another sketch where Mikey Day points out exactly what is happening. For I guess people who have like the audio version.
Yeah, like there's
SNL for blind people.
There's a very specific kind of SNL sketch, which sometimes does work. It can elevate a sketch that is otherwise not great, but a lot of times it doesn't. In which it's just someone doing something strange and everyone pointing out that it is strange, and then it stops being that. Like, they all point out the things they point out the things that are strange just so that you have them noted, because they're going to be important later, and then immediately afterward they're into it. I love the way that this sketch goes all over the fucking board. I love that it starts out with this weird, like, super old-timey talk with a blah, blah, blah.
Everyone's speaking in a transatlantic accent.
Yeah, it's definitely supposed to evoke like Preston Sturges and those and like Howard
Casablanca,
Hawks and those sort of, like 40s. So that like 40s patter, yeah. And then even the intro to the song is like, it's a 4/4 shuffle in C,
Blonde, but and then like when like I love the fact that it starts with, oh, the man's playing the woman's playing the man. There's a lot going on here. And then immediately when it cuts back to them, there's like, oh, he's coming back to her. And they're going to... It's so good.
And Kyle Mooney hollering, "It's the moment of truth!"
Oh, there's so much. Yeah, listen, SNL. Yeah,
Seeing
SNL.
Kyle and Beck together also, just as a side note, because they came up together, and then like it felt like Beck kind of like got to do more than Kyle, and Kyle got kind of resigned to the cut for time pre-tapes and stuff, and it's nice to see him, even if it's just like as a soft shoe, like kind of like like toss away.
I will say, in the most recent season, Kyle's gotten more screen time, and maybe it's because Beck left.
Because Beck's not there.
Yeah, and so he's like, "Oh, I don't have to be with my friend. I guess I can do sketches on my own where I threaten to murder Mikey Day."
Oh, man, that was so good.
Billy, did you watch a lot of SNLs?
I have watched SNL. I've watched every SNL since since Adam Sandler's episode.
Okay, so do you remember the Jimmy Fallon Civil War band party at my parents' house sketch?
Roughly.
To me, like this reminded me like of that premise. So there's
Haven't seen it now.
So there's a group of 4 guys, and like it's like at the end of the Civil War, they're at the campground, and it's like like let's give us some, let's do a rousing battle tune. And so, it starts off, with classic, Civil War, like, imagery, like, marching with the bayonet, and then Fallon goes, and there's a party at my parents' house. And like, what? And it's like, oh, I thought it could, like, use the hoof. And so, but then, like, they build on it, and then so, like, one of the, like, corporals is like, well, maybe I could be like a stern father, like, Hey, there'll be no more partying here. Like they build the song to the point where it becomes like this like classic, like this like 2010s like party pop song. This feels like a kind of version of that where like although the song starts fully formed, but still people are starting to, but you get to see that still that assimilative quality where like people are like, oh, I didn't think I'd like this, but then they get into it, and specifically using music as like the linchpin for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's yet another sketch with Bowen in it that there is layers upon layers. It is, like they said, there's a lot going on. We're in the 40s. We're at a USO thing. This lady has this sketch performed obviously ahead of time, or they just spontaneously started doing this. There's no way to be sure with this one guy, and then more people are joining in, and then there's all the other people, and you're like, oh, are they going to be cool with it? Oh, there's just so many layers to this, and there's so many layers to almost all the stuff that we've been looking at so far.
Yeah,
I think the best part of it is that the layers of everything in this sketch specifically is that all those layers fold together, and then right at the end, you still have to be reminded that it's 1944 USO show, where the moral of the story is you have to beat the Nazis.
So good. So good.
The only way that it's okay to cheat on your spouse is if you beat the Nazis.
And then, and then the fact that, there's gay icon Dua Lipa, who is doing her trademark thing of nothing. Like she doesn't add like her vocal tone really to the mix. Like,
no, she doesn't. She shows up, she pegs Bowen Yang, and then she leaves.
She doesn't have like the quality of like Gwen Stefani in like Space Pants, where like you really feel she's adding something.
God, Space Pants was so fucking good.
Again, something I watch like every 6 months. But yeah, I find this one to be like definitely a great use of like of Bowen, like...
Yeah, I don't...
Bowen in the spotlight.
Yeah, I don't think this sketch works if we don't have Bowen Yang in that role.
Absolutely not.
Like, I don't think there's another character who could pull off the commitment to the dance moves while staying in that character still.
and then doing the dialogue kind of like story song thing, you know, a la like Lady Gaga and Beyonce's like Telephone or something like that. One might almost imagine that the song would fit well on the Iceberg's music album.
Yeah, that's actually track 10. It's a cover.
Yeah, right. Because there's like Lover Boy, right, and then like you have like Love Fight. You know, it's like sort of like...
It is 2 songs. We are at least 1/6 of the album's now skips.
Absolutely. I think Love Fight makes more sense with the video.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Bug Assembly from the Rami Malek episode. We will catch you after that. I'm glad I caught that. I'm really glad I caught that on the intro.
Oh, good. Oh, that's really good.
Oh, what timing? Because I literally hit start and then you started going. Dun-dun-dun. What? Good. Listen, this sketch is so. This might be my favorite Bowen Yang sketch ever.
Oh,
high key. Listen. Going through it again, I love this sketch so much. And I'm talking about sketches like specifically for Bowen Yang. Like Airport Sushi has like a Bowen Yang section, but that's not a sketch. Like that's not a Bowen Yang sketch.
Right.
It's just there's so much fun here because you set it up where you have the 7th graders, the 7th grade theater kids, which I was a high school theater kid. Middle school, you couldn't get me near the theater.
It's like Burning Man for the weird kids.
Mm-hmm. It's just, there's so much fun to play here between, like, the obvious, like, 7th grader types of jokes, where it's like, I'm a praying mantis, but not like this. I eat weeds and grass, but not like that.
Dismukes, Sarah Squirm, and Rami Malek all play kids so good.
And then you needed thicker glasses and a different like hair color for like Sarah, but like Bowen's got like a baby face, and like so he just comes through looking like, yeah, I'd buy that weird theater kid.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard him speak.
Listen,
his dad works at Bravo, his other dad's a Republican, and this is the first time I've heard him speak.
It's just...
I also love when Dismukes was doing the dance and he was just going like this.
It's just when you get 4, like, it's just the 6 of them up there so perfectly worked together. Whether it's Keenan and Bowen, Keenan having to like reluctantly call Bowen daddy, and then Heidi tries it and he goes, I don't want that from you.
I don't want that from you.
God damn. The first time I saw the sketch, I was afraid. Like this season was my first time seeing Bowen in anything.
Oh, okay.
And I was afraid after only seeing like 2 or 3 sketches that Bowen was like very one note.
Sure.
But looking back at this after seeing like enough Bowen stuff, this is just a showcase of all of the stuff that he does really, really well.
Yeah, right down to like intense like costuming.
Yeah.
Dude is dropping down and dancing in high heels, which like mad respect because that's difficult as hell.
Well, yeah, like an extension of like the dancing that he does in USO, you know, and then like you know, we even saw like from Chen Biao, it's like a very physical performance too, like the way that like, you know, like he'll move his arms like up and down, or like again like the way he'll like roll his hips, and then you see like this full physical showcase of again what he can do when he's in the spotlight, because Airport Sushi like makes use of like his theatrical talents in just his acting and singing, but I think that being able to like see, you know, get like the full picture and the full moving picture, it just shows off, you know, like that, you know, he's great behind the update desk, but like he can do a lot. Outside of that.
Yeah, and he's also just a really talented comedian on top of all of that. Like his timing is dead on. He has a way of delivering a line
in a way that's uniquely his and also really, really just nails whatever joke he's going to do. Like when she was like, it looks like you were about to do a death drop, but then you were scared, and then he looks like dead at the camera, and he's like, yes, I was afraid I was going to split my ass open in front of the judges, and you're just like, damn.
The way he screams at Sarah is also cool. He's kind of an underrated sort of like for screamed line, but you know,
listen, he can scream a line when it's a certain like character trope of like oversensitive gay person kind of where like, you know, that's like the over the top level screaming. That's the character that he kind of hits. When he gets there, and it's so good. This is another one of those sketches where it's hyper targeted towards the queer community, and it just nails it. It understands its voice and perspective and the exact joke it wants to make, and then it just peppers in little jokes that fit in the universe they've already created.
Kind of got lost in the scene work.
Oh, it's a winner.
This one is a winner. Like I said, it's probably my favorite Bowen-centric sketch. There's so much love for this.
If SNL was still found a way to like make money through the best of compilations that they used to do on DVDs, like this would be like in the first third, you know, for a best of Bowen Yang, just for the way that like it channels his specific comedic voice. It challenges him physically, and he nails it. Okay, yes, there's like a costuming gaffe a little bit, but it kind of fits.
Well, no, he sells it so well.
He sells it so hard. He sells it so hard that he breaks his own costume.
Yeah,
he even sells first off, he's very professional. He without changing anything about the scene, uses his foot to make sure that broken part of the costume doesn't become disruptive to the rest of the scene.
Right.
And then he giggles a little, he breaks a little, he makes it fun for the rest of us.
Yeah.
He shows that this is actually we're all having fun here.
Yeah.
And he does spectacular. Everything is goddamn, such a good sketch. I don't think I like this one as much as I like First Asian in terms of like it making me laugh. Mm-hmm. But I think that in terms of like you brought up, if we're picking something that makes me laugh a lot and shows off just about everything Bowen can do, this is a great like explanation of that.
I think that it's just that Rami is like not a great scene partner for Bowen, because Rami's energy is so kind of like
he's got like a similar energy to Adam Driver, where you kind of where it feels like there's just this psycho 2 inches behind this person.
Yeah, as opposed to like Harry Styles, who seemed like very like open and receptive to like, you know, to communicating within the scene. You know, with Bowen back all the way back in Sara Lee, which must have been, I don't know, 5 hours ago in the recording.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think it is somewhat. It is more acceptable in this one because the awkwardness that he brings to it is easily.
He's giving it off as like bad child.
Yeah, it better sells the idea that he's a kid and he's weird and it's awkward.
Yeah.
And Bowen does an excellent job acting around him in order to bring out that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
But no one on SNL has done bad child actor better than Vanessa Bayer, who gets like the compulsory smile part of it. Like she had it absolutely down pat. And Bowen's own take on it, which stems from the character's background and like in reality TV and like, you know, blood boiling conflict. It's its own unique take on like the whole child impressing upon an adult kind of perception.
Yeah. All right, we've got one last little thing to watch for our Bowen Yang centric episode. Then we'll be giving you some final thoughts to wrap it up. This is a Twitter clip from Las Culturistas. We will include a link in the description, so scroll on down there, click the link, and it'll take you to the tweet clip to watch, and then we'll be right back. What a clip, huh?
It is. I watched that one a lot.
Bowen is so expressive right there.
He goes on an entire emotional journey. The clip. It's a stupid twink in the varsity jacket.
I get this super hard, like, oh, really? Oh, that's great. Oh, wow. Oh, I get that's the vibe that I'm getting from it.
I don't know if it is. It doesn't feel insincere.
It feels very insincere to me.
I don't know. I read half of it as insincere, but it's like, 90 pounds, pretty good.
Yes, no, that is true. I do get that he's like, he doesn't want to listen to this. I came here for this show, but that is sure, okay, great. Congratulations, 90
The
pounds.
part that always gets me is this clapping. It destroys me. Oh my god. That understanding expression.
I think it's total surprise when she offers him tickets of just full mouth open.
His mouth is left gaping at the end too, where he tries to come up. It's almost like he's trying to stop him.
He's like, no, don't embarrass yourself.
Amazing.
But you're right. There is sort of the teeth gritted sort of smile at the beginning, where he's like, I came here for Kelly Clarkson. Didn't really need to hear you, but I think it's sort of, again, it's a journey. Like over time, like he becomes.
Yeah, that twink won him over.
It's not an
Was it stupid fashion twink?
No, he's a stupid.
random fashion.
Some random fashion twink. Oh, amazing.
Oh, yeah. So that's those are all the clips for our Bowen retrospective. A few. I have one or two other honorable mentions. One of them is the Morgan Wallen, Alabama sketch. Pretty much the gimmick of that sketch was basically just that Morgan Wallen was originally supposed to be on in like the third episode of the 2020 season.
Right, but then he was partying with people.
He was partying in Alabama, maskless,
Yeah.
and so they pushed him back. They pushed him back to after the new year.
Right.
And then they did a sketch on it, in which Jason Bateman comes out and he's like, "No, don't! You're gonna lose SNL." And then Bowen Yang comes out and he's like, "I'm here to warn you that your skin treatment might be too good." Where it's just one of those things where it's just like Bowen got two lines and he nailed both of them. And then the other one for me is Good Morning Montreal, or Hi Bonjour sketch. It's
a really recent one, isn't it?
It's with Issa Rae from last year. That one is just so fun because he puts on such a good like Quebecois accent for it, and he's just full character with him and Kate McKinnon as co-anchors. And also that one gets the good Mikey Day explaining what the joke is.
Wait, do you think that the instrumental for Daddy Longlegs would be on the Iceberg's hyperpop EDM New Disco Fantasia titled music? I could see it being like an instrumental for the intro or something.
Sure, like I imagine they probably just took a segment from it and looped it.
Yeah.
There's probably more to it.
No, obviously there's more to it, but you know what I think it is? I think that's like the club dance number, and all it is right before the drop, Daddy's Got It.
Daddy's Got It has to be like sampled more. It's so good.
I hope we do get to a point, and hopefully when New York's club scene comes back, that people will be doing DJ mixes, and we'll throw in a Daddy's Got It, the same way that they used to do when Lady Gaga was nominated for an Oscar. They would do Let's Dance, but instead of the words Let's Dance, one DJ put in the Academy Award nomination board saying Glenn Close.
Oh man.
Yeah. Listen, going through this, I think we all realize Bowen Yang is one of just, he has such a strong comedic voice. he's going to be in SNL for a long time. He just got promoted to repertory this year.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, he did.
Him and Chloe Fineman.
And he got his Emmy nomination while he was still a featured player.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, Bowen and Chloe and Dismukes and Sherman make me very ecstatic for when
You're such a Dismukes fanboy.
I'm a huge Dismukes fan.
we're both.
He makes me
Listen,
so happy.
this is a Dismukes fan podcast. Almost as much as it is an SNL podcast.
It's true.
There's something about the man.
I love his dumb face. I
love his dumb chameleon face because he looks like 8 different
Yes.
actors at the same time.
And I love the way that, like, there used to be on SNL, you had, like, 5 versions of Standard White Boy that all did, like, the same 3 characters. Mm-hmm. And Dismukes does all of their characters better than them as one Dismukes. So he will put he will put every Mikey Day out of business.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're gonna have a Mikey Day for a while. We're just gonna have Dismukes.
Bowen, if you've listened this far, sorry
Sorry that we hit a hard left into Dismukes. Listen,
sorry, this is about you.
Yeah. Bowen, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on an episode.
Bowen, I'd like you to come on for the second Bowen Yang retrospective.
No, Bowen, I want you to come on for the Dismukes.
Bowen, please come on for the Dismukes retrospective.
Yeah, I think you'll
get hit by several cars at the same time
because none of them saw him.
Poor Dismukes.
He'll be fine. He's not going to have. I mean, it might be a while before he gets like the kind of like high profile that Bowen does, because actually last week Bowen got announced to be in A24's first musical. Alongside Megan Thee Stallion. So big things are happening for Bowen. He's got this A24 thing. He that Emmy nomination a couple of years ago. He's just got a retrospective on the 8th most popular SNL review podcast.
Are we 8th? Have we made it, Ma? Top 10?
I can't believe we've broken the top 200 yet.
Hey, I don't know why this podcast that mainly features 2 white dudes isn't doing better.
Well, it's fine because we're 2 white dudes talking about
comedy.
Yeah, we're talking about comedy. I think what really resonates with a lot of audiences is the fact that we act like we know what we're talking about. We act like we know better, and I think that that's really going to like resonate with a lot of people.
Listen, everyone likes to hear about a white dude in power.
That's right.
Yeah, I think if you just if you throw in like talk about like the presidency and all the sort of Chapo trap houses that you've been visiting, I think that
God damn, how old
Rip
is that?
Chapo trap house.
How old is Chapo?
No, I feel like you're referencing a very specific thing that happened. This sounds very familiar.
Well,
am I losing?
I'm referencing classic white guy podcast. Chapo Trap House.
Oh, okay. I thought, my brain just manufactured a whole like scandal that happened to someone that I didn't know.
Okay.
I wish we could live
Wild.
in my magical world for a minute.
Listen, I wish we could too.
Last night I dreamt that there was an apartment where if you were having someone over, there was like a parking lot full of double beds that you could have brought up to your apartment so that your friend could stay in that bed.
Bowen, if you're still listening.
Why are you still? You can tell that this has gone off the rails, Bowen. Stop.
Thank you for listening, Bowen. Thank you for listening this far after we stopped saying complimentary things.
Bowen, if you are listening to this and you have the money, the seed money to help me get my bed rental apartment building off the...
Can we go around and say the things that we want to say to Bowen?
To Bowen. All right. You can go last as our guest, so I'll go first. I'll go first,
Great.
then Connor, then you.
Okay, fantastic.
Bowen, please come on the podcast. I would love to just do an me and Connor would love to do an interview with you. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I think you just get dumb questions because we're both too young to have real world experience. Connor,
Dumb rhymes with fun.
is that all you want to tell him?
No, Bowen, you're really good at this stuff, and I think, it's really hard because it's really famous.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, just look at the mic. Don't look at Bo.
Bowen, you're doing a really good job and keep it up.
Okay. Here, no, pretend it's just mute.
It probably is just Mukes just pretending to be Bowen. There's no way to know.
Just mute if you're pretending to be Bowen and listen.
Stop.
I'm a
You got us. I don't know. I don't have anything to say.
You don't have anything to say
I
to Emmy nominee Bowen Yang?
I just don't know. Like, you need to start the
future
conversation.
podcast guest Bowen Yang.
He needs to start the conversation. I can't do it. I don't know. What do you like movies?
Oh,
What type of movies? I don't know.
you are flattering.
What talk to Bowen Yang about?
Well, we'll tell him that you appreciate that he's there.
You did that. I did that multiple times.
Well,
That's all I have. That's not a conversation.
This isn't a conversation. You're just saying shit to him.
Future.
What do I hope for? Good things.
Great.
I don't know.
Okay, put it in a sentence. Bowen, I want good things for your future.
Bowen, good things. Future.
All right, good enough.
Jamie, what do you want to say to Bowen?
Bowen, I also want good things for your future. I think what you represent on SNL is that you can find your place in like a vaunted establishment, and you don't have to necessarily feel second to any sort of gatekeeping. That you can kind of like come through from the world of podcasting and from improv and take comic persona and a comic voice and find a way to make it work for you inside of an establishment, and that you can turn it into genuine fame and acclaim. And if you've seen all the Bowen Yang compilations that are on YouTube, you know that there are people out there who are really responding to your work as a writer and as a performer. And I can only foresee even greater successes from here.
Damn. Wow, that's way better than mine.
Basically
Fuck.
what I said, honestly.
Yeah, in between, I think deep sobs. I think that's what you were trying to communicate.
All right. Thank you, Jamie, for joining us on this retrospective of Bowen Yang so far. Robots into Guys is in hiatus right now. Do you know when you're going to be returning?
I don't actually, because we're still dealing with some things on the organizational side of things. But my partner has a podcast called All Systems Argo that Connor agreed to be on. So and Billy, you can also agree to be on it also.
Ooh, we can get both of us on it?
We could see if we can get both of us on there.
I don't know.
We'll do Gladiator.
Both of you can do Gladiator. So I don't know when Robots into Guys is coming back, but we have a backlog of about 16 episodes. So if you like the first generation of Transformers, and you're okay with gay people.
Yeah, listen. If you're not okay with gay people and you got this far into the Bowen Yang retrospective episode, what are you doing?
This episode's just for Bowen. This is just for Bowen.
Finally, something for Bowen.
I'm gonna DM Bowen on Instagram and send him the link.
Once you have the edited episode, I'll add him on Twitter.
Let's get him.
Let's get him.
Good future. Let's go.
All right.
Good vibes.
All good vibes. So all systems are go. Robots into Guys. Sketch and review. Check out all these podcasts. You're already checking out one. And until next time, support local comedy.